Hi, I'm Jeff Baker. I'm a professor of law at Pepperdine University School of Law. At Pepperdine, I'm the director of clinical legal education and an associate clinical professor of law. I'm really excited to join you in this course, a foundational course to talk about U.S. law and legal systems, to think about some really important basic concepts in the law that will help you understand the law and prepare you for all of the courses that are to come in this great master's program. This is a survey course. It's a survey of the constitutional system, of our legal system generally, and how we make laws. And then after we make laws, how they have effect in the world, how we navigate disputes around the law, and what systems we have to ensure that the rule of law in our constitutional system work and work well. The general purposes of this course are essentially to give you a basic understanding of the law, some foundational concepts, the basic building blocks of our system that will prepare you for more detailed and more advanced discussions in future courses, and to help you understand how these concepts work together. We're going to talk about some standard vocabulary in the law, because like every profession and like every area of expertise, we have our own language, we have our own jargon, and in the law especially, those words are operative and they mean very specific things. I hope that with that discussion of vocabulary, with these discussions of component parts, that you will see the landscape in a broad way about how the law works and about how these courses work together, so that at the end you'll have a comprehensive understanding of where we're going. Now, once again, this is a survey course, so we're going to cover a lot, and we're going to cover it quickly, and we're not going to go into great depth about most of these concepts. We will look into that in future classes. But you should end up with a working knowledge of the legal system, an idea of the categories of law and how they all work together, the vernacular of lawyers, of lawmakers, and the law itself, to understand the structures and the component parts. And then I hope that you will begin to see how the work that you do in the world, in your own communities, in your own families, in your own relationships, are affected by the law and affect the law, and give us all a better sense of how we do this all together in our system of self-government. There is perhaps a risk that some of this is basic civics, but I think that it's really important that we all start on the same foot, that we have an equalized playing field on which to build in this graduate program. Now, here's how we're going to do it. We're going to cover a lot quickly in these lectures. We're going to cover topic after topic after topic, starting with the Constitution, ending with some critique about our legal system. And along the way, we're going to talk about how the American legal system and U.S. law works. That's what these lectures are about. The writing assignments I intend to use so that you can connect these concepts to your own work, to your own communities, to our present tense reality, to our political environment, to our legal environment, so that you can see how law works in the world in a very practical way, and how it is working in your own experience. Now, I'm really excited to teach this class, and I want to tell you a little bit about why. I've been a lawyer for a long time, and I've been a teacher for a long time. I graduated from law school in 2000 from Vanderbilt University School of Law in Nashville, Tennessee. I don't know if you can hear it yet, but I am a Southerner. I was born in Alabama. I was raised in Mississippi, college in Arkansas, law school in Tennessee. And after I graduated from law school, I returned to Mississippi, where I grew up, and I joined a big law firm. In that law firm, I did healthcare regulatory compliance, but I didn't do it for long because I didn't like it. So I left that law firm and I joined a mid-sized law firm in Jackson, Mississippi, with between 60 and 80 lawyers, and I had a trial and appellate practice there. I was a civil litigator. I was typically on the side of companies who were being sued, and I had a really unique practice. And our firm did as well, because we represented a lot of national clients. We had big litigation, mass tort, complex, multi-million-dollar litigation with clients from New York and the West Coast, but we were handling these cases in very rural Reconstruction era courthouses in Mississippi. I'm a big fan of the idea of code switching. We have to be able to translate our experiences and our language from the highest, most sophisticated levels to people who are not educated, or to from rural areas to urban areas, from different populations to different populations. And my law firm served a bit of a role of translating Mississippi life to national client life, and sometimes New York clients into Mississippi courthouses. It was a dynamic practice, and I had a lot of fun doing it. But in 2006, I felt my calling to teach. I had taught American constitutional history at night one semester, and it just set the hook, and I knew I wanted to be a teacher. But I also love being a lawyer, and so I joined a small law school in Alabama called Faulkner University Jones School of Law in Montgomery, Alabama, and became a clinical teacher. Clinical teachers teach through practice, so since 2000, I have never stopped practicing, although I have changed that context a lot. Now I practice law with law students at Pepperdine and teach them how to practice as we serve our clients. But in Montgomery, I left that law practice that was driven by big litigation in trial and appellate courts, and I took up a practice for victims of domestic violence. My students and I in our law school over the course of the next 7 years represented about 400 victims of domestic violence to get protection orders, civil protection orders in family court in Alabama. And we worked really closely with prosecutors, we worked really closely with police officers, with social workers, and we created a really multidisciplinary response to domestic violence in Montgomery, Alabama. I would note also that Montgomery, Alabama is the cradle of the Confederacy. It was the first capital of the Confederate States of America during the Civil War, but it was also the seat of the Civil Rights Movement. The very same corner in Montgomery where the telegram left to fire on Fort Sumter is the very same corner where Rosa Parks refused to give up her bus seat. It's a dynamic place with a lot of forces, and it was an amazing place to learn how to teach the law and think about advocating for people in this place that had become soaked and holy with the blood of a lot of American struggle. Also there, I opened, because my law school needed it, an elder law clinic, and I shifted radically out of litigation practice and provided wills and trusts with my students, powers of attorney, advanced healthcare directives to people who were over 60, usually indigent. So I had moved from healthcare regulatory compliance to trial and appellate work, to representing DV victims in family law courts, to doing wills and trust and powers of attorney. When I had the opportunity to move to Pepperdine, although we loved Montgomery, Malibu is a pretty great place to be. So we moved to Malibu and California, and I took the California bar. And just to be clear, that's 3 bars: Mississippi, Alabama, and California. I passed them all the first time and am licensed in 3 states that are really different from each other. Joined the California bar, joined the faculty at Pepperdine, and here I direct the clinical program generally, but the clinic that I run myself is for nonprofits, for non-governmental organizations, for churches, for community organizations, and we're not litigating at all. We're providing corporate practice for these organizations who are doing human rights, social justice, economic work in the world, and we're providing a different kind of lawyering, and not to individuals, but to organizations. That's the Community Justice Clinic, which I run. The rest of the clinics at Pepperdine do really dynamic work representing homeless people on Skid Row, representing prisoners in federal appeals courts to protect civil rights, representing victims of domestic violence, sexual assault, human trafficking, providing tax services, providing mediation, arbitration, security services, representing startup businesses. The clinics are a place where we practice law. Now, I mention all of that not to just build my own credibility with you and not to try to sound impressive, but to say this. Over these years since I graduated from law school, I've seen the law from many different lenses. I've practiced law through many different lenses, and I've taught it in lots of different contexts, from trial and appellate work in state courts in out-of-the-way counties in Mississippi to federal court, to representing people in Alabama, to representing companies in California, from Montgomery and Tupelo and Columbus, Mississippi, to LA, to Malibu, to Ventura County. And now we have clients in Ecuador, Uganda, India, Nepal, Iraq, Somalia. We have an international and global practice. And I've seen the law affect people's lives in profound and important ways. I'm a believer in the law. I'm a believer in our system. I'm a believer in the rule of law. Despite its deficiencies and despite sort of the inherent injustices in our system, we know that this is the way that we have decided to organize our lives around ourselves. It's certainly not perfect. There is injustice and there is violence present in our system. We have much work to do, but we've come a long way. And I think seeing the law through all of these lenses is an amazing way to see how people react to each other and how we respond and how we solve problems together. That's why I'm excited to teach this class. I love the law, I love being a lawyer, and I love being a law teacher. I'm excited to share these stories with you, to talk about these ideas in the law with you, and I'm excited to get started.